Okay, so we'll get back into this next game now.
Someone was asking why Select didn't drop more.
So the reason he didn't drop more is because Flash had about 8 missile turrets lining his main base. And Flash had, of course, had the air control.
I think he had sensor towers too.
He had sensor towers and Vikings, so you can't drop Flash. This is not going to happen. So we're going to look at another Flash game from the MVP Invitational Tournament. This is going to be Flash versus Thorzain. Of course, everyone knows Thorzain, Mr. E.G. Thorzain RC. Quite a popular European Terran who actually has been living in the States for quite some time. Let's see if he can give the great Flash a little bit better of a game.
Could happen. Thorzain is pretty good at Starcraft 2, and Flash is pretty good too. But based on last series, Flash just looked so good in team. And especially on this map. Of course, this is Daybreak. And we just saw Flash play a TBT on Daybreak. So I would think he would go for a similar strategy. I don't see a reason why he wouldn't.
I would suspect the same.
Uh-oh. Someone just put a beta key in the chat.
Uh-oh.
EJWKGNHEZNR84D
You gotta be quick with that though, man.
K6HX. There you go. If you're not in the chat, I just said the key out loud. If you want a key, go to the chat.
I'm not sure if anyone could actually copy it down as fast as verbal words work at it, but someone is asking, talk about what it is about TBT mirror matches that makes it really different from others. So one thing Terran has that other races have to a lesser degree is Terran can benefit the greatest, especially in a mirror matchup, from the defender's advantage. So we saw that last game. I mean, this game is just both players are progressing fairly standardly, but we saw what Flash could do, things like he put 6 tanks here, right? And then he put 6 tanks here, and then the rest of his army could all push along one side while defending 2 other points. And if you do that with a different race, your army, they're just going to squish it, or they're going to kill one of your defending forces. And we saw Select try that last game several times across the top, but it just doesn't work because the siege tanks are so good at defending a certain angle. So having that ability to hold ground with a small force just makes TBT such a positional game. So it's mostly about taking territory and then locking it down, as opposed to other matchups which are about building up for a key battle and then engaging that battle in a position that benefits you the most. So that's super important.
It's interesting to see, you know, how TBTs develop, you know, on a map like this, where I feel like the natural obviously is going to be, you know, relatively easy to take, which is pretty standard. But when you're taking a third, things get pretty interesting if your opponent decides to mold some sort of timing push to, you know, potentially try to contain you. You know, the third, you have to like go down a ramp. You have to like move into choke points. So, you know, I've seen strategies where a Terran player has tried to contain another Terran player on 2 bases by just preventing them from taking the third while they do whatever they want back home. We saw Thorzain just meander over to the left there with the factory. Not sure what that was about. Returning back just now.
Just moving some of his buildings around a little bit indecisive with the way he's progressing his build. It's interesting because, I mean, we're almost seeing him do a very similar build to what we saw Select, right? The difference being he's not investing in Cloak because he did it all off 1 gas, right? He went straight to the fastest Banshee possible off 1 gas, and then he was able to get a much faster expansion in Select. So, and of course, Flash did the same build we've been seeing him doing, the gases expansion and double gas, and he's going to get this, you know, this factor and whatnot. And without Cloak, this Banshee's going to not really be able to do nearly as much damage. And Flash will actually notice the gas count on this refinery. When he scans, right, he's going to click this refinery. Notice that it's only been barely touched, and so he knows there's no Cloak possibility. Right, for sure, there's no Cloak possibility. Even though, of course, other people would think, okay, maybe since the scan is done, he'll start Cloak since it's done. Flash knows that can't happen. So that's a nice advantage. You can just get, you know, a Viking out, and 1 Viking can deal with these Banshees fairly easily.
Alright, so Flash getting that expansion on the ground already. Nothing too crazy happening. Already 2-3 harvesters ahead. I think he got the command center a little bit before his opponent. But yeah, getting that Viking out on the field to, you know, to make sure you can shut down the Banshee play from Thorzain. And Thorzain adding on a bunch of racks here. So it looks like he does want to go the bio route.
2 more barracks going on. No upgrades for that bio quite yet. Opting to start the tank production before he worries about getting stim pack or medevacs, which is sometimes you see players opt, you know, to go really aggressively for the upgrades. Now going double tech lab, so once they get probably both stim and combat shot, or maybe just get a good number of marauders. Uh-oh, sorry there.
That's an SCV.
You know, Banshee sneaks in, gets a couple kills, but the Viking takes it out without too much of a problem there. And meanwhile, Flash is he going to continue with his mech play like we suspect he might be in Daybreak? That's really the question on everybody's mind.
I think he will. Making 2 Hellions right now and a Raven. Does he have? He hasn't taken gases at his natural just yet. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Patrolling the Viking around, making sure no stray Banshees can do anything much. And Thorzain already adding on Stim.
So here's an interesting question someone's asking is why didn't until just now Flash worry about taking the Zelnaga Tower? And the real reason is because he knew he was doing a fast expansion build versus a tech build, and so that Marine, I mean, I assume he wants it over there right now. If you send it out early, it's 1 less Marine to defend against the Banshee, or of course the Hellion harass, and it would just die instantly to the Hellion or Banshees, and you kind of know there's a coming at you already. So he basically wanted to make sure he had 100% of his units to defend at home. And then now at this point, he wants to take his Zelnaga Tower, and this is something that's a really high-level play that. For you guys at home, I'd suggest just taking that Zelnaga Tower much earlier, because you don't have, unless you're Flash, you don't know exactly when Hellions, Banshees, etc. come to your base, and the odds of that 1 Marine being indifference is going to be exceptionally low odds.
And the odds of you being Flash, perhaps even lower odds.
This is true. Doesn't happen very often. There can be only 1. Flash again going for that mech play. Thorzain double engineering base. So unlike what we saw Select struggling with was keeping up in upgrades, Thorzain is going to be ahead in upgrades, which is ideally where you want to be with when you go bio, right? You want to be kind of ahead in upgrades. Stim is working on its way to being done, along with siege mode. So maybe we're going to see Thorzain try to be a little bit aggressive once those 2 upgrades finish.
Yeah, we see the rocks being taken out there. Flash a little bit indecisive, going to come forward here with the Hellions. Blue Flame just now started. If he can get a nice little lineup on those Marines, he can potentially do a lot of damage, but Thorzain is too good to let that happen. And Flash is going to return to his side of the map. Now, his 3rd is already on the ground, but I think it's 70% of the way done, it looks like. Yeah,
just about. It's getting there. The question is will it finish, or is Thorzain going to just try to bully his way over there? Flash does not have siege mode, just a handful of Hellions. Thorzain does with 4 siege tanks. This could be the start of a devastating campaign.
Yeah, Thorzain, you know, again, siege mode is done for him, so he could potentially just prevent Flash from pushing out. And he has 2 medevacs here as well, and plenty of Marines and Marauders. They all do have stim. So actually get to stim forward and try to take down this command center. How successful is this going to be? Flash going to lift that up. It's down into the yellow health, down to 700, 740. But Flash is coming forward with his Hellions to try to deal with this. Tank don't yet have siege, so doesn't really want to engage just yet. And Thorzain doing a decent job here, getting some damage done.
Nice little denial of that 3rd base. Of course, Flash was able to keep the command center alive, which is really important. Flash does not want to be contained here. He's going to try to move out. Realizes it can't quite happen yet. Thorzain is really going to get a good lockdown here.
Flash is still up in supply though, 118 to 108. He has a Raven there as well. First point defense drone, nice against those Marauders. And again, auto turrets. Less utility, but some utility. And you know, Thorzain is just going to keep trying to prevent Flash from taking a 3rd while securing a 3rd of his own back home.
This is a kind of an interesting situation, of course. You know, Thorzain's 3rd was built later, but because Flash has been denied that one time, they'll basically equalize out. The one thing I'm a little worried for Thorzain, he's got to solidify his contain, right? I'm worried that, I guess this actually is pretty strong here, because Flash can't move out here because of the threat in his 3rd base over here. Utilizing his Banshee to break this contain, a really, really powerful way to break the contain is, of course, use that Banshee in combination with your own tank line, because if your opponent runs their Marines and they kill the Banshee and they get blown up by a tank, as we just saw. So it's very, very hard for Thorzain to maintain his contain in the face of that. Meanwhile, we saw Thorzain used to have the supply lead, but even though not too much has happened, Flash is able to take it back. That's just a macro skill gap, is pretty much all it is. Flash is just pretty much the god at macro. You can't match this guy in unit production at all.
Flash is making 2 tanks at a time here. He's already up to 8. It looks like, yeah, he's going up to 10 fairly soon. We have a drop at 10 in the main base of Flash from Thorzain going straight for that middle line. Medevac to be taken out immediately, and this drop isn't going to do too much. I think didn't he have 2 medevacs when that started? I thought he loaded up 2 medevacs there. I think he lost 1 medevac from the turrets.
It's possible.
Sure.
I think it was only 1. I think he came in from this direction.
Right now. Favor of Flash.
I mean, he did lose a couple units up here as well. Yeah. And he lost the early Banshee. Another medevac might get ran down here. Flash trying to make a move around this contain on the top side. Is he going to engage or is he going to try to circumnavigate it? Oh, this is such a good move from Flash right here because what's happening is now Thorzain is losing his ability to reinforce this contain, and he's also losing his ability to, I guess he can still retreat through this way. But he's basically, and he can go through the middle, but he can't go through the top anymore.
Yeah.
I thought the rock still in the middle still might have been in place, so that would have really shut him off, but it's still another angle Thorzain has to watch out for. So, similar to us.
Wow, medevacs, where are you going?
There, at least there's nothing in him, just a poor rally there. It's just like similar to last game where Flash like slowly meticulously takes more and more of the map. Of course, that last game he started at the halfway point and crawled over to take over most of the map. Now, you know, Thorzain started with the contain, but Flash is starting to like crawl around it and kind of absorb it into his army. Especially if you can get a few of these tanks up on this high ground point over here, that'd look really cool. Thorzain dropping a mule to take the first tank fall. He's been running in, but point defense run from Flash. Those Marauder shots are not really able to get through to the tank.
Flash up 159 to 130 supply. Thorzain trying to break through that. Has 1 Marauder remaining, but he's going to die. There's a couple tanks there at the watchtower and some Marine Marauder reinforcement, but you know, Flash definitely came out on the better end there. I'm wondering why Thorzain felt pressured to take that engagement.
It's a really good question. I think he just felt that he could break that tank line and he didn't anticipate those 2 point defense drones. And he was thinking, you know what? This would be a great trade if I can kill these tanks, and it just didn't quite work out the way he envisioned it working. Yeah,
point defense drone just absolutely shuts down the Marauders, and now it's Flash's turn. He's like, you know what? I'm going to show you how to break a contained Mr. Thorzain. And Thorzain's going to have to retreat back to his 4th base, but does he have enough to hold Flash's army? Flash will try to siege up as fast as possible. No point defense drones down, but the Marauders melted away by those tanks, and there's no stopping Flash here.